Hello, my name is Caroline and this is Isaac. This is Direction Documentary and today we're going to talk about Enron Scandal.
First, we'll be going over an introduction, an overview of the case, then going into key facts and figures of it. Next, we will be doing a personal analysis of this case, and we have interviewed a specialist in this field who will be talking about ethics in the workplace. Again, our team will analyze this and give our thoughts about this interview. Finally, we will conclude all that we've learned from this.
Isaac will go in detail about general ethical issues in human resource management.
Human resources management ethics are very important. We're going to look at different types of problems that may occur in the department and how that relates to human resource management. So first with employment, which goes along with a measure of recruitment and selection. A problem with this is you may hire someone to a position because you knew someone in the company, such as, let's say you knew the CEO and you hired someone that was related to the CEO for a position. You can't hire someone just because you wanted to please someone else in the company already. Another problem is in interviews with falsified information. Employees can lie on their interview about their previous work experience, about their age, or things like that, which is wrong. And finally, the judgment on discrimination of sex, religion, disability. None of these are allowed. You cannot, and more measures. You can't discriminate on such factors when hiring people. Another is about cash and incentives, and this goes along with the function of HRM with compensation and performance appraisal. The base salaries are a subject of debate. When you hire someone and give them a base salary, you have to be fair with what you offer them compared to what you offer people for the same position. When you offer bonuses to these people, you don't want to favor people who are higher up in the company and not care about other people who may not have as high a position but are deserving of a bonus for their good work. There's a problem in companies when someone wants something, even when the business is losing money. For example, if the CEO he's a very important person to the company's losing a lot of money, but he goes out and says, hey, I need this car for my work, and he makes the company pay $50,000 just to get something that he doesn't really need, and the company's struggling. This is an ethical thing to consider. And finally, favoring people with top long-term packages. When you look at the CEO, or if you want to keep someone at the company for long term, who's very important, you don't want to favor the people who are, once again, higher up in the company with these really good packages of compensation for them to stay. The third measure is privacy, and this relates with the function of HRM of labor relations. When you collect information from employees, if you want to collect information, you have to be careful of people's privacy, and you can't cross the line when you want some information from someone and it invades their personal space and privacy. Additionally, with whistleblowing, of course, you don't want ethical issues to happen in a company, but you want to do so in an appropriate manner. And once again, you cannot obtain information that is in violation of someone's personal space and information. Ethical issue with human resource management departments is changing business operations, and this relates with the measure of labor relations. When you have a closure of a business that fails and must go bankrupt, or whatever happens to this business, you want to be fair to the employees who did work for your company but must move elsewhere. You want to make sure that these employees are handled fairly, especially those who have done the great work and have succeeded for your business, that they're treated properly, and especially that they are accommodated in their future endeavors. Finally, safety and health, and this relates exactly with the human resource management measure of safety and health. There can be a debate of an employee who's hurt in your workplace, how they get compensated if they do indeed get work at your company. In general, if an employee is hurt, it would be nice that the company compensates them for their medical costs. But there are issues that arise when the human resource management department and the company decides, no, I'm not going to cover for this person what is managed. Covering for someone who is hurt in your business is another important measure to consider. And these have been the ethics to consider in human resource management department. Now we'll go to Maurice, who will talk about the Enron case.
in 1985, Enron Corporation was founded in Houston after merging two large energy company, and in the same year it appointed Kenneth Lee as their CEO. And in 1986, the company moved its headquarters to Houston, where Kenneth lived, and the company aimed at becoming the first natural gas pipeline. In 1988, Enron company entered the UK market, and it became the first United company to construct a power plant in Great Britain after electrical industry. And in 1989, Enron launched the gas bank, and the second CEO, Jeff Skilling, is be responsible for this company, the bank. And in 1990, Jeff Skilling hires Andrew Fastow from the banking industry. He starts as an accounts director and quickly make the company popular. In 1990s, the company made a few changes in its policy, so the company becomes more powerful. Next, Caroline will continue talking about the Enron's company.
According to outside analysis, Enron profit rate was 5% in 2000, but fell below 2% in early 2001. For investors, the return on investment was only 7%. Before its bankruptcy on December 3, 2001, Enron employed approximately 29,000 staff and was major electricity, natural gas, communication, and pulp and paper company, with the claimed revenues of nearly 101 billion during 2000. On August 9, 2001, Enron's share price had fallen from around $80 at the beginning of the year to $42. It eventually dropped to just about zero. On October 16, 2001, Enron released its financial report for the second quarter of 2001, the third quarter financial statement, announcing a total loss of 6.18 billion, or a loss of 1.11 per share. For the first time that Andrew Fastow, its chief financial officer, had mismanaged the partnership, reaping the 1.2 billion of its shareholders' assets. After having so many years of success, Enron faced competition and things started to go wrong. They faced competition and employee integrity became lost. Enron Corporation filed for bankruptcy on December 2, 2001. Now to another reporter, Sean Fay.
Before its bankrupt in 2001, Enron had about 21,000 employees and were one of the biggest power, gas, and telecommunication companies in the world, reporting revenue of $101 billion in 2000. On December the 2nd, 2001, the Enron formally filed for the bankruptcy protections in the bankruptcy counter. The excess linked in the bankruptcy list reached up to the $49.8 billion. It's the largest bankrupt enterprise in the history of the United States. Many executives at Enron were changed, and some were sentenced to prison. Everybody lost money, from companies to the individual employees. Individuals had their 401,000 pensions all linked to the stock. Consequently, new regulations and legislations were enacted to ensure the accuracy of the financial reports for public companies. And next, Isaac will analyze the case.
When we look at what happened to Enron and the downfall of the company, there are many different factors that can be analyzed, and I'll be going through each one. First, one problem with Enron was they looked to hire from within and disregard outside candidates. They preferred those inside candidates, and they didn't look to other people who could have been qualified for a job, and they should have been able to look at these employees and consider them for hire. Next, there was a lot of risky business activity going on. In particular, young employees were allowed to do multi-million-dollar deals, and they shouldn't be given this authority. These young employees should have oversight and approval from upper management to do these. The lack of experience of these people cost Enron so much money and just the riskiness in general. Next, there was the category, the philosophy at Enron, either you make money or you don't. And when you have this philosophy, if you don't, they're very based on the numbers, and you lead to working for yourself and not the company. You work for your own self-pride and your own self-grade when you should be working for the company's best interests. That's what an employee should be doing. You'll try to do anything possible to get what needs to be done, even if it's not ethical. And that's what happened. Many employees at Enron were doing unethical things, cutting corners, taking shortcuts, and ultimately hurting the company and themselves. There was false information everywhere. People were not telling real numbers. They were wrong evaluations of each employee, and this caused a problem in many ways like that. Next, they had a corporate policy in place, but people weren't following it, kind of what I was going with just before. There were other priorities with the employees, whether, like I said, cutting corners or doing the wrong thing. And it became a standard at Enron to not follow the rules. It wasn't just people were doing it, but people knew about it, and they continued to keep going on about it. Next, performance compensation was really wrong at Enron. There was favoritism to top managers with bonuses. When there was discussions about who got the money, the people who there was favoritism with who got this compensation, the extra compensation. And the rank and yank system, as it was called at Enron, was horrible. Rank and yank is that what I described. It's the people who do best stay, and the yank, that's the rank part, but the yank part is the people at the lower part who are not performing well. You're gone. You're going to be fired. And that was the system they instituted. There was a heavy reliance on the stocks at Enron, and the employees, as we kind of discussed, they had all their money set into Enron stock, into Enron, and once Enron had all these issues and had to file for bankruptcy, they could no longer recover their money they invested in the stocks, which is huge. They didn't have any other way to recover their money. Finally, there was whistleblowing. It was a big thing, and whistleblowing is when somebody sees something wrong in the workplace, and there's an employee who steps in and says, "Hey, that's not right." That's the whistleblower. This was huge. It was encouraged by the company, but it was not well instituted at all. It was in place, but the human resources management department did not respect it. Employees became scared to bring up change and say, "Hey, this is wrong." And so then the employees were like, why do we even bother with calling what's wrong in the company? And this is the summary of Enron's downfall.
Do you think the Enron scandal will influence the ethics in businesses for the future?
I hope so.
And how?
I hope that control will be stronger about people who may decide to act in a bad way. I hope that auditing company will not allow that something like that happen again. I hope so, yes.
Okay, so you personally, you value ethics?
Of course, I think it's really important. You cannot, and ethics should be the main role anyway in a company. If you don't observe ethic rules, I guess that the company cannot survive in the long term.
Okay. And in all the functions of human resources management, where do you think ethical issues arise the most? Maybe
the main ethical issues that you may have in human resources is regarding maybe dismissal of people or reduction plans, employee reduction plans, or things like that, where you can, where human resources people can be asked to work in a way which is not very good as far as ethics is concerned. I think it would be the main problem. Maybe decide to dismiss people or make people redundant for bad reasons.
And do you think the human resources department of a company should be the only part of a company responsible for implementing ethics standards?
No, it must be implemented in all departments. It's too important. I mean, of course, it's really important that the human resources department explain things and be a major actor in explaining all these ethic questions, but it's everybody's concerned. All departments are concerned. And you may have ethic issues in accounting department, you may have ethic issues in purchasing, procurement department, and so on. So it's really something that concerns everybody within a company.
Okay, and does your company actively discuss the importance of ethics among the employees?
Yes, there is a code of conduct that everybody is, every new employee or every employee is should read and accept and explain. This code of conduct explains the company rules in that respect, and there is a kind of quiz at the end in order to be sure that people have understood how they should react in some specific situations. So, yes, it's really taken into consideration.
As this RH manager said, Enron Scandal is well known in the industry world. It will probably affect the mentality of people. Governments have strengthened their regulations, and audit companies won't allow this to happen again. Also, consumers are more and more involved in the values of societies. They want to be more eco-friendly and are paying more attention to ethics in the workplace. Following ethics rules will permit the company to survive in the long term. Moreover, ethics rules are complicated to define and boundaries aren't the same from one culture to one other. One thing is certain, big ethics scandals will happen again, even if their number in well-industrialized countries are decreasing. Developing countries have not obligatory strong regulation in the ethics domain. The corruption can bring industries to disobey the law.
Today we have talked about general ethics issues related to human resource management, and we also analyzed the case of Enron Scandal. And we also heard about the point of view from an expert in human resource management. Thanks for watching and supporting our direction documentary, and have a good night.